When you hear the word oxytocin, your mind probably jumps straight to romance. We picture hugs, emotional bonding, and its famous nickname, the love hormone. But modern biology shatters that image. This peptide functions as a heavy-duty biological regulator, maintaining the internal equilibrium necessary for the body to operate efficiently. It operates as one of your central nervous system's most effective mechanisms for neutralizing chronic stress and keeping your mind sharp under pressure. Oxytocin acts as a structural biological pillar. Without its presence, the mental clarity and physical stability required for human survival would rapidly degrade. Look at this 3D cross-section of the human brain. To understand how oxytocin works, we have to view it as a dual-purpose biological agent. It functions as both a peptide hormone and a neurotransmitter. Its life cycle begins deep within a brain structure called the hypothalamus, where the molecule is rapidly synthesized. The newly formed chemical travels down a neural stalk and waits inside the pea-sized pituitary gland at the base of the brain. It sits in reserve until a specific social or physical stimulus forces the gland to dump the supply directly into your bloodstream. That precise physical pipeline is what allows humans to form bonds, cooperate, and navigate complex social networks. Long before this chemical evolved to manage social trust in modern society, it was engineered as a strict reproductive survival tool. During childbirth, the maternal body relies on massive spikes of oxytocin to trigger the intense uterine contractions required for a normal delivery. When this natural process slows, modern medicine steps in with synthetic versions of the hormone, like Pitocin, to artificially induce labor. Once the child is born, the system immediately shifts to a new task. Oxytocin partners up with another hormone called prolactin to enable breastfeeding. While prolactin handles the actual manufacturing of the milk, oxytocin is responsible for the letdown reflex, the physical contraction that releases it. The entire mammalian strategy for bearing and nourishing offspring is built directly on top of this single peptide sequence. As human brains grew more complex, that ancient delivery system expanded its job description to regulate the daily psychology of every adult. It became the chemical requirement for living in large groups, enabling us to suppress our defensive instincts long enough to trust strangers. This chart shows the chemical conflict in your bloodstream. Up top, a jagged rising line of cortisol, the stress hormone. Below, a flat oxytocin line. During social interaction, the oxytocin spikes, actively neutralizing the cortisol, driving the stress marker rapidly back to baseline. That sudden drop on the graph is the exact physical moment you feel a knot in your stomach untie, or the sudden relaxation after talking to a close friend. The brain requires these consistent chemical spikes to maintain a state of calm, making social interaction a fundamental biological necessity for neurological health. You carry a built-in, engineered antidote to the physical wear and tear of modern stress. You do not have to wait passively for this system to activate. You can consciously force your pituitary gland to release the chemical. The most reliable trigger is physical touch. Hugging a family member, or shaking hands, sends an immediate signal to the brain to open the valve. But that biological feedback loop is not restricted to other humans. Research shows that making eye contact or playing with a pet causes a simultaneous oxytocin spike in both your brain and the animal's. If physical touch isn't an option, practices that slow down the nervous system, like holding a yoga pose or listening to steady, calming music, indirectly stimulate the same release pathways. You can also use behavioral triggers. Performing an act of altruism without expecting any reward or recognition initiates the exact same chemical sequence. That altruistic action generates a neurochemical feedback loop, rewarding you with a positive sensation that reinforces your trust in the community around you. Consistent application of these triggers provides a reliable pathway to stabilize your nervous system and regulate your mental state at will. That engineered stability pays direct dividends in your broader professional and personal life. A nervous system cleared of excess cortisol operates with sharper focus, sustains higher productivity, and is capable of much better long-term decision-making. While professional success depends on many factors, managing this chemical provides the steady psychological baseline needed to process information and make complex decisions. Building deliberate routines that prioritize human connection is a strictly scientifically validated strategy to optimize your biology, and by extension, your life.